Hello, I want to give you a short little introduction to how we're going to do our labs in this class, and also how to kind of maneuver and go over some basics of Wolfram Mathematica or Wolfram Math Cloud. So here we're on the Canvas course page, and if you want to see the lab, what I expect of you, and where you're going to turn to the lab, it's right down here. You click on Lab 1 when you're as a student, get in the lab. Prompt should come up, and then on the bottom you should be able to add or upload a file. I'll talk about what I would expect you to upload in just a moment. I went ahead and downloaded that. Let me go back here. There we go. I went and downloaded the lab. So right here you have this link. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to get a Wolfram Cloud account going. This is completely free. Wolfram Mathematica is not. If you have a license, that is a more powerful tool, but Wolfram, the free one, will be perfectly fine for this class. I'll make sure of that. Your final report needs to be typed. So you need to type up your answer using Word, or if you want to collaborate with another student, Google Docs is a great resource, so you could collaborate on one single document, writing up your answers and copying over your pictures and whatnot. I do want all of your explanations and solutions in complete sentences. This is a technical report. I see these assignments as both learning how to do some programming, with Mathematica, and programming with some handholding. So how do we use some programming to help us solve mathematical problems and how to visualize certain mathematical objects. And lastly, these reports are to give you practice on writing technical reports. You might never have done this before. So how do you type up? How do you write mathematics? How do you explain yourself in complete sentences? This is the case for a lot of these labs. You do not have to show all of your work. You have to explain all of your work, explain all your solutions. Okay, so before we get back to that, I'm going to come back to what I expect you to submit towards the end of this video. For right now, let's assume you've made a Wolfram Cloud account. Right here, you click on My Files. Right, this is my sign-in. I'm going to click on the Math 1C Playground. So I kind of blank this out. And a couple things to note: if you want to collaborate, work with someone else on this lab report, one option is to click on the share button up here. And the share button comes up, change the can view to the can edit. Get your partner's email address, click it in here and share. They'll go on their email and they're going to be able to work together on one notebook. This is one Mathematica notebook. Keep in mind as you do that though, we should be careful on how you work on the report. You don't want to overwrite each other's work, which it can happen, although it's not. Wolfram has a fairly decent setup for this. All right, before I go to the lab report, I'm going to go through a very couple basics of Mathematica. First thing is all their pre-packaged functions start with capital letters. So on the first lab, I'm going to have to graph contour plots. So I'm going to do capital C-O-N-T. And notice all the Wolfram Mathematica's pre-programmed functions that start with C-O-N-T will pop up. There's a lot. But we want contour plot. So one nice thing about Mathematica, considered very, very high level programming for mathematicians, is you've got this little exclamation point right here, or this I for information. Click on that I, and on the right side of Wolfram, you're going to have contour plot, details, and scope. If you click down here, it gives an explanation. And then below it gives all the possible arguments. Arguments are all the things you could use to edit and change the contour plot option. If that seems like too much, I think the best way is to look at examples. Okay, here's some programming, here's some code, and here's the output. Going down some more, here's some more options you could plug in. Here's Plot Legends Automatic to give me the color bar. And then even down here, if you click on these, neat examples might be cool. There's a lot of information. Most of this you don't need, but at least you have it right here, which is pretty nice. Other thing about Mathematica, when you define functions, let's say I'm going to go into the first one. I want to define a function myself. F of x equals 2 cosine of x. Whether I'm defining a function myself or it's a prepackaged function, we're going to use f closed bracket, or sorry, square bracket, x underscore square bracket, colon equals. So this is going to be the standard notation to define your own function. And then 2 times, I'm going to do 2 times cosine of x. So I've got to remember it's capital C-O-X, square bracket, x, and square bracket. And then to run this or define this, you could either click evaluation, evaluate cells, or the keyboard shortcut is shift return. If you want to check to see, at least with this, does this make sense? I go to the next line and type, well, what's f of 0? What's 2 cosine of 0? Better be 2. Or 2 cosine of pi. Pi is capital P-I. Shift enter. Minus 2. And pi over 2. Shift enter. And 0. Okay, so it looks like we've defined this function correctly. So a couple of things. Don't forget, when you're doing functions in Mathematica, capital letters and square brackets. An annoyance, but we'll go through that. Okay, and I'm going to plot this. This is 2D plots, capital P-L-O-T. And I'm going to do f square bracket x. I don't need the underscore. You need the underscore just when you define a function, comma. And let's just see what happens if I do that. Oh, no. Notice if I do that square bracket, it gives me a little warning. I'm missing something. Oh, see, too few arguments given. I need to do a comma. I can't scroll. Comma x, comma x min, x max. So let's do that. Comma square curly brackets x comma 0 comma 2 times pi. Shift enter or shift return, and there I got a nice plot of cosine of x. All right, and there's tons of arguments. There's lots of functionality that you could do with plot. You could do colors between the curve and the x-axis, a whole bunch of stuff. And if you really want to know how that works, you can either Google it or just start typing plot. Click on that I, and then over here on the right, you're going to get tons of options, labeling, coloring schemes, a lot of cool stuff. Feel free to peruse that at your leisure. But at least for what I expect of you is to be able to take the lines I give you, the code I give you, and then be able to adjust it. Try to figure out how to adjust it, play with it, and then make it work for the following questions. I understand that programming is not a prerequisite for this class. So if you've never programmed before, my hope is with Wolfram, you'll get more comfortable with it and hopefully understand the power of using some mathematical programming. And those of you that have lots of programming experience, well, Mathematica is a lot easier than C++ or even Python. Okay, so just to note, my other arguments that I ask you to give is I want you to label your plot, give it a title, basically. That's this plot label. I'm going to do this for all of your graphs and plots for the rest of the semester. Plot label, click on the I. I'm going to get this little arrow. You could also type in dash greater than, and that turns into an arrow. And here I can type whatever I want. Hi, Bob. Shift enter, run it again, and there's a title. So you don't have to use my exact same title, but give a little title so the reader could see what your graph consists of. And I want your axes labeled. So label your axes. Axis label. There we go, click on that. And x, curly bracket x, shift enter again. And there we go. We have a labeled axis. And now that I think about it, I don't know why I didn't say x comma y. X comma y. Click on that, and then we have an X and Y axis labeled. All right. Okay, so for your lab report, again, I don't want to think about Wolfram Cloud or Wolfram Mathematica as just a calculator on steroids. There's a lot more than a calculator, a lot more visuals, but your work is going to be up in a typed report. So I'm just going to use Word. Go here, open up a new document. All right, and I'll just say Lab 1 report by the Honorable and Glorious Tim Melvin. Okay. And so what I want on, number one's different in the lab, but let's just say I want this graph right here. I got the X and Y axes labeled. I got this titled, even though it's kind of dumb. What I want you to do is still give a short sentence. The figure below shows f of x equals 2 cosine x over 1 full period. Right? It could be a sentence or two. I don't want to read a novel, but I do want some explanation for every single graph you put in your report. And getting your picture over, there's multiple ways to do that. Maybe depending on your computer. This is not the most professional, but maybe the easiest way is just to do like a snipping tool or copy and paste. My computer, it's Command-Shift-4 because I have a Mac, will automatically give me a little snipping tool. I can open it up. Here I can say done. Again, this will be different on each computer. I have this set up right here. All right, and I've saved that screenshot, and then I could go copy. And then right here, I'm going to center and then paste. Okay, maybe think that's way too big. I can shrink this down a little bit. Well, here we go. So think about Wolfram Mathematica as your calculator, help you with calculations and to create graphics. But the lab report, what you're going to turn in, needs to be typed up, explanations with complete sentences, all graphics and figures referenced in writing. In an actual technical report, if we were to go another semester, we would definitely want to label this and say, the figure 1 below, label figures. If you want to do that, that's fantastic, but I'm not going to penalize you if you don't. But I will penalize you if you just give me a figure without a sentence or two explanation. When you're done writing up the report, going through all of the questions and stuff I ask you to do, make sure to put both names, Tim Melvin and Bob blah. If you put both names on here, you work with a partner. Only one of the partners has to turn it in. And when you have this finally done, I'd like you to turn in as a PDF. So whatever program you're using, Word or Google Docs, Macs, Pages, etc., when you're finally done with everything, save as a PDF. And that's what you're going to submit onto Canvas. All right, so hopefully this cleared some stuff up for you. If not, please talk to me, communicate with me, let me know, whether it's in class or email if you need more help. If you want to meet outside of class, you can always come in office hours anytime I have set office hours. The worst thing you do if you're confused is nothing. Get some help, contact me. All right, hope you have fun doing these labs.